And the thing is, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I think if we start talking about the guided programs, perhaps, does that feel right? Because I think, we talk about periods of time, and the way that we've structured our guided programs is we have, 4 and 12 weeks. Now, that may immediately sound contradictory to what we said about periods of time, but the way that we've structured these is that we take people through a process of like different experiments that we explore. So there's actual kind of things that we're taking care of, and new things that we're releasing to experiment and play with. And then there's a period of self-discovery. And then there's a revisit, there's a summarise, there's the feedback going back and forth. And I imagine that for you and I, we're probably going to learn as much in those calls as the guys do, because when they come back with their insights, we'll be like, didn't realise that, that's amazing.
Absolutely. Every time I do these kind of over several week group sessions, I feel like I'm learning as much as they are. Because everyone is different. Not everyone in the group only, but every session is different. And so you can't compare, it's not as though we have a program where, even if we've got these sort of themes that we might use as a guideline, if like everybody in the group is focused on something completely different at that moment, we're not going to say, no, this is the theme that we're sticking to. Is okay, this is relevant for you guys, everybody at the moment, this is let's go there. Why wouldn't we? And it's not about, us being here and them being there and learning from us. It really is about the exchange, and more about us provoking thought, triggers that then get a conversation going, which everybody benefits from. I always say that my biggest inspiration are my clients. Because of the work they do, the commitment they have, and the insight they find. I'm always so impressed by the clients I work with. And I love the fact that it's not because they're learning my stuff. It's because they're learning their stuff. They're connecting to their own stuff. And that is so beautiful to watch. And yes, of course, it's very satisfying to know that I've played a little role in that, our questions or our structure or maybe our experiments have helped them in that process. But ultimately, what they find is totally theirs. And I find that beautiful because it gives them ownership, it gives them confidence. And I don't like being sort of looked at from below, and I think it's not very healthy to work with people who you admire to the extent that you think you'll never reach that level, and because it has more of a crushing effect than so I like being in that space of not knowing, because it's really just very helpful.
Completely agree. Completely agree. And there's another aspect of the 4 to 12 week thing that I think it is valuable, and that's when we're exploring whether it be an experiment or a concept or whatever it may be, and we have our call and we cover what we cover, and we do what we do on the call, and then the group take it for their self-discovery and do what they do in their own homes. Through that process, the thing that I really, really enjoy is the kind of ongoing accountability, the space that's continuously held, whether that be through the group chat conversation, or whether it be just through the guys in this group knowing that for that period, if they need us, if there's anything they want from us, then we're available. Because I find that in my experience, when you're sitting there and listening to the sort of teacher who just preaches at you. Preaches at you. You take away some stuff and you kind of intellectualize what they've said, and it's a very relatively easy process. When you've gone on a journey of self-discovery and you've found your own truth, the process is far deeper. It goes far beyond the intellectual, and sometimes you need some support. Sometimes you need some support, because if one of the insights you have has shaken one of the foundations of your reality, or completely pulled the fabrics of your reality apart at the seams, then sometimes you just need a little bit of check-in time, or just to be seen in the moment, whatever that may be. And I think that's really valuable. Again, because through my company, I was involved in some programs where it was just about a content release and go away and do your own thing and come back, and people would get some value and some benefit, but there'd be a bit of a detachment from it. Whereas I think that what we've done in turning it into an experience, you know, rather than just a process, like a real experience, a connected experience going through it, it offers the detached space for self-development and improvement, but it offers the connected oneness for support and accountability.
The thing is, when you're learning in a teaching sort of environment, it all goes through here, right? You're trying to make sense of something, you're trying to understand the process, and then you go out into the real world and you try to apply it. But it's really taking theories and trying to make them fit to your world, and that can be extremely difficult, because in theory this will happen, and then when you're the real, it never happens the way it happens in theory, and then you don't know what to do with that. Whereas when you go at it from an experimental mode and you say, well, we're not actually talking about any theories, we just, let's go through this process, see how it feels, see the outcome, see what worked better, you know, for you and you and you, and they might be different things. Then you connect on an emotional level and you say, oh wow, I've just felt the impact. I feel the difference. I see the difference in the other person. And after that, sure, you can bring it up to your brain and say, okay, what just happened? Why did it work? What was it about that moment, that experiment, this thought process that has created a revelation for me? And then you can go back and keep that theoretical thing, which is your own. It's not the grand theory. It's in my, as my person, in my relationships, in my situation, this is where I can find my resources. Well, next time I need resources, I have my formula for myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not, you know, trying to apply somebody else's formula, which somehow just doesn't really fit. And I love that, because once you've made that emotional connection, you can't forget it. You can't unlearn it. It's becoming like second nature to you, because you've gone through the motion. Whereas, you know, this whole theoretical approach and then application, it can just stay there forever, and you never really know how. It just doesn't feel right.
Couldn't agree with you more. And this is again where another aspect of what we do really resonates with me, the kind of concept experiment model, because, you know, we have dedicated experiments we've created, and then we have concepts which are standalone concepts, but any of the concepts can be applied and played with, and anything can be played with. And that's why I kind of think it bridges this gap, because it feeds the intellect, it gives the mind something to play with, but through the process of the experiment then brings that into the experiential, and like you say, connects at this deep seismic level where shifts can be made. And the beauty, I think, of making shifts at this level is shifts at this level generally tend to shift your perspective, like without you trying to do it. And then, you know, if you try to do it at the intellectual level, you kind of deal with one problem at a time, some of the time. Hey doggy.
Oh, hello, we've got a visitor.
You kind of deal with one problem at the time. But when it's like an experiential thing and you get this shift of awareness, it's like everything in your life you see from a different perspective. So you kind of deal with everything a little bit at the same time. You know, and this is from my experience where I've seen true transformation comes in. I know a lot of people who, I believe, get caught up in the over-intellectualization of content. And I know some people who are absolute, you know, seminar junkies and everything. Lovely people, of course, good friends of mine, but they keep it at the intellectual, and they know loads of stuff, but it's very rarely applied and it's very rarely benefited from, and they'll kind of go from seminar to seminar looking for that silver bullet. And what they're missing is the fact that they're not taking it into the depths of the experience. They're not going through it in that way, and they're stacking it up. And I know a few people who are kind of in challenging situations for that reason, because they're kind of getting to this point where they're starting to feel helpless. Well, I've been everywhere and it's not working. I've had all these people, these amazing people telling me what I should be doing, and I'm still not doing it. What's wrong with me? Exactly.
What's wrong with me? Then you start thinking, you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
I remember once I was given this incredible solution for how to organize your inbox. You know, this one of my colleagues, this was while I was working for a big company, said, oh, you should, you know, organize your inbox this way. It's really... So I thought, okay, you know, I'm a bit of a mess in my email. So I spent a day completely reorganizing, you know, based on categories and colors and this and, you know, CCs and BCs and just everything, shifting everything around. And by the end of the day, I had no clue where anything was. I was totally lost. And I looked at this thing and I said, well, it looks pretty, but now I feel like I've taken all the papers on my desk and shifted in such a way that I don't even know where what is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much the idea that this is crap. It was more, I'm crap.
Yeah.
You know, if this method that everybody raves about is so great, and I am lost with it, what does that say about me?
Yeah.
But the thing is, again, that solution worked brilliantly for the guy who created it,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
his
yeah.
brain, you know, he modeled it after his brain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
But my brain and his brain don't work the same way. And so it's silly for me to think that he's going to have my answer to how to organize my inbox. And it goes like that with anything and everything. And that's why I love putting people in just situations where they try stuff out and see for themselves, and then they connect with whatever it is that works for them.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful because there's such a sensation of satisfaction and well-being and confidence, because all of a sudden you realize I don't actually need to look out there, needle in a haystack, you know, spend my time on Google searching for yet another guru. I thought this guy was great and spending money. So I know where to look when I need something, and it's in here. And I'm starting to understand the process of how I can find it, because that's the most difficult thing. It's already there. They may not believe it. I understand that. But it's how do I connect with that? That is the difficulty. And that's where these experiments are great, because we're just trying different methods. And some people will resonate with some experiments, others with others, and whatever they take from them will be useful for them. And the rest is just, you know, is not
Yeah.
for them, and that's fine.